Essentially, as we transition here to the next presentation, we find ourselves diving into the realm of digital replication. Have you ever wished for a twin to be at two places at once? Well, within our industry, we have our own version, and it's starting to revolutionize our business. Here to kind of pontificate the value of digital twins is the maestro of commercial strategy, the manager of commercial advisory and strategy, Anthony Mastroianni from IO. So please give a big round of applause as he gives us the potential of digital twins and how to unlock the unparalleled benefits.
Morning, everyone. I'm humbled to have the opportunity to be presenting at the summit today, and my pleasure to be standing at the podium presenting. And I think events like this, organizations like this, they serve as an indispensable role in facilitating candid conversations, discussing industry challenges, sharing ideas with the aim of building genuine relationships, breaking down barriers, and finding innovative solutions to challenging problems that lead to mutually beneficial outcomes. So I want to thank Gary and Paul for having me here today. As mentioned, I'm here to speak about the Government of Ontario's digital twin value proposition, its impact on our province, our journey to date, and our partnerships with stakeholders, some of whom may be in the room here today. My name is Anthony Mastroianni, and I lead the partnerships and stakeholder engagement efforts for the Digital Twin program at Infrastructure Ontario, which is a government agency that acts as a procurement and commercial lead for all major public infrastructure projects in Ontario. I've been with the company for the past 2 years, and I have just over a decade of experience with the public sector on large priority infrastructure projects and P3s, most notably the Accelerated High-Speed Internet program, the Highway 407 East extension, and also some private sector background in banking. So thank you again for being here. I'm a cyclist, so being lost in the middle of nowhere with a flat tire and not having access to broadband, which is the program we're working on, and what really this digital twin is a proof of concept for, is near and dear to me. So thank you again for the opportunity. Okay, so in the province of Ontario and really across the world, shared data is used and required for infrastructure projects ranging from high-speed internet to transit to municipal water renewal and housing developments. So projects like these involve large numbers of private sector partners, utilities, policymakers, and the inclusion of municipal, provincial, and federal government. So as the economic and innovation engine of the country, the province of Ontario, as you see on the slide here, continues to grow. Currently, with a GDP of $799 billion, population of 15 million, it's anticipated that these figures are likely materially to rise over the next 10, 20 years. And looking ahead, Ontario faces multiple dynamics that place an increased emphasis on strategic decision-making. Some of these include rapid population growth, forecasted to be around 32% over the next 20 years. That could also increase the demands on infrastructure and services, demographic changes, senior citizen population growing as much as 68% between now and 2037, evolving technology, reshaping how we utilize infrastructure and services. So increasing uncertain climate-related events, energy transition towards more sustainable, renewable alternatives. To me, the what, so what, and now what behind all of that is labor and supply chain challenges place limits on delivery and execution. You all know that, but delivering infrastructure projects is challenging and risky. We all have our examples of them, Eglinton LRT, transportation, there are plenty. But even under the best of circumstances, at scale, infrastructure projects are often delayed and over budget. A global review of 427 projects over the last century revealed that average delay, which I'll show on the next slide, is 52% of an initial project schedule. Average cost overruns are 79% of an initial project budget. These delays and budget overruns occur across asset classes, and Ontario is obviously no different. So the theme taken from the conference, reshaping the world we inhabit, advancing technology that grows businesses, drives innovation, and improves our civilization, the provincial government is thinking about capital projects differently to ensure at-scale infrastructure is built on time and on budget, and that Ontario continues to be an attractive destination for investment. Digital twins are an emerging technology to support improved decision-making. They're part of a new approach that many leading jurisdictions are taking to ensure infrastructure is built efficiently by improving upfront and ongoing decision-making that's required to get these things right. So turning to the use and application of digital twins to plan, design, and operate infrastructure more efficiently are the key elements behind how to solve similar complex and dynamic challenges that are faced here in Ontario. So Ontario is being challenged to be an attractive place to build and for investment in a global marketplace, and our desire for increased investment is challenged by prolonged permitting, licensing processes that delay construction, construction labor workforce, shortage hampering productivity, ongoing market uncertainty. Ontario, like many other jurisdictions, we must continue to think about and approach capital projects differently to ensure we be an attractive destination to build. It's as simple as that, and ensure that committed to infrastructure projects are delivered on time and on budget. So what I want to say is that the leading global jurisdictions are turning to the application and use of digital twins to efficiently and effectively plan, design, and operate infrastructure. Ontario could do the same to remain competitive as an attractive jurisdiction. And what I'll finish with on this slide is I look at it as knowledge is power has become the new data is the new currency. Getting good data in the right format that can be used and lead to good decisions is what can improve outcomes that I alluded to earlier. So what is a digital twin? Simply put, a digital twin is a virtual representation of a real asset or process that can be, across its entire life cycle, enriched with analytics that can act as a single source of truth to effectively support more dynamic decision-making while helping manage uncertainty. We like to plan or look at them at the portfolio or network level, but simply put, it's what to build, where, when, and how. You know, a digital twin can help shape where new capital expenditures should be prioritized by quickly and relatively inexpensively running many scenarios to determine how changes in population growth, demographics, behaviors, technology, the environment, and the economy could impact demand, and identifying when and how quickly new infrastructure could be required to optimize capital portfolios and increase return on investment. So as a result of this, twins can help reduce demand on a currently strained labor market and ensure that the workforce capacity is focused on optimized projects that we want to prioritize. We define assets just as high level at the neighborhood level, so twins is part of larger public infrastructure investments, major development zones like hospitals, transit-oriented communities, and also at what we refer to as a network level, which is more refined to leverage data for electricity, water, gas, telecom, road, or transit infrastructure. So to dig a bit deeper, peer examples have shown us that twins can be a core part of the solution in delivering significant cost savings across asset classes for the $180 billion that the province has committed to infrastructure spending over the next 10 years. From an outside-in perspective, we've seen that twins could support up to 5 to 30% of cost savings on CapEx, and the same figure, 5 to 30% in cost savings on OpEx as well. Twins with changes in processes and decision-making methods can bring a lot of benefits by delivering capital projects at a lower cost, mitigating the risk associated with cost overrun, leveraging existing infrastructure more effectively to avoid large new builds and CapEx, and just shaping where new CapEx could be the most efficient and integrating them into a system efficiently. So one particular example that we can look at could be healthcare. So over the past decade, limited increase in hospital capacity combined with rapidly growing and an aging population has led to capacity concerns. including hospitals recording over 96% occupancy rates. The provincial government is committed to over 40 plus billion in hospital infrastructure spending over the next 10 years, and that spending includes 50 hospital development projects, creating 3,000 new hospital beds by 2032. But digging into that deeper, it's okay, to ensure Ontarians have access to care today and in the future, healthcare administrators and providers, you have to be thinking of things like how many new hospital beds will be needed in the next 5, 10, or 20 years? How will population growth, demographic changes, healthcare utilization patterns, and other factors work together to impact that need? And where and when could new hospitals be built to maximize coverage and optimize access? And could new hospitals be built, or could existing ones be renovated and expanded? And obviously, what CapEx is required for all of that. A digital twin can support with answering all of those healthcare specific questions faster and more effectively through what we call simulation and scenario-based decision making compared to traditional old school approaches. To answer some of the questions I just mentioned, we refer to them as proof of concepts of a digital twin that are in progress. They include typically 5 modules, but an estimation of demand to look at the need for additional hospital beds based on population forecasts or demographic breakdown. Estimation of supply to obviously look at the required supply of hospital beds to match that demand, and optimizing cost of coverage to define what an optimal geographic distribution of beds would be. So you can see how specific we can get with playing with resources that go into the model that we try and specify with a proof of concept, and how detailed we can be with the decisions we try and make with those inputs. Other leading jurisdictions are turning to the use of twins to innovate and attract investments and improve decision-making and outcomes. Like what's on the screen here, the UK, Singapore, Australia, they're already using twins and observing impacts on infrastructure projects, improving planning decisions, what to build, where and how, building better and faster, managing risks more proactively, giving owners the transparency to make timely decisions, optimize sequences and reduce friction, and ensuring assets are matched to deliver core services to citizens. So being more efficient in the way that existing assets are used and maintained, and optimizing how those services are provided. In these jurisdictions, twins can support decision-making across the asset life cycle to reduce capital and operating expenses and support improved service delivery. They can be deployed with different levels of specificity with those inputs that I mentioned, and at different levels, including neighborhoods and networks or portfolio level, depending on the scale of the project. So looking at the design and build of twins, managing risks proactively, empowering timely decision-making that I mentioned before, optimizing work sequences, those are all things that during the design of a twin, they can inform your choices to reduce investment upfront costs, while even optimizing criteria for such things like a user experience working through with it. For example, during construction too, a twin can support proactive delivery risk and managing labor productivity, supply chain, weather, which in turn makes those projects in the jurisdiction more competitive. We can look at things, just to mention, like generative AI. Twins can provide optimal construction sequence and schedules to actively coordinate contractors and further mitigate some of those delays and cost overruns in real time. And the last thing on operating them, just to specify, a twin can support existing infrastructure more effectively to avoid larger new builds and those CapEx headaches that I mentioned, through optimizing existing assets and services. And on the functionality piece, to talk through some specific applications on the modules I mentioned, twins are transparent. They offer that representation of the real world, combining several perspectives to better identify and understand bottlenecks of facilitating stronger collaboration, coordination, and real-time decision-making. So today, the Ministry of Infrastructure and Infrastructure Ontario use what's called Broadband One Window, which provides transparency on the progress of the Accelerated High-Speed Internet program and helps prioritize interventions across regions that we're trying to deploy broadband in. From a forecasting perspective, predicting and forecasting changes within parameters such as population growth within economic constraints to support clarity on changes in demand for assets and services. A twin supporting highway planning, for example, could forecast population growth and geographic density to determine when and where roadways could be needed. Looking at the simulation bucket, running multiple what-if scenarios and simulations to help better understand and manage uncertainty. And for example, even supporting a subway also could use geographic and population data to predict how changes in service offerings could drive changes in demand. How you navigate the system differently based on those design choices, what the associated cost is and impact on carbon emissions or traffic could be as well. The optimization bucket, that offers automated AI power recommendations backed by up-to-date data integration to adapt to that variability that I mentioned. So example, a twin supporting government-owned real estate could use optimization to identify the optimal portfolio of assets to lower capital costs, accounting for service levels, population demands for the next 10, 20 years. The automation bucket, using automated AI, again, powered actions to manage services and assets to ensure the optimal level of service is provided based on latest data. So you can see a twin could automate sequencing of traffic lights in a city based on real-time traffic information to reduce congestion, saving time and even carbon emissions. So the last piece I'll close out with, there are broader impacts of twins beyond just the financial benefit. Fostering community livability. As people continue to move to Ontario, twins can support the sustainment and development of livable neighborhoods, cultivating welcoming neighborhoods, optimizing geographic distribution of goods and services, and public services like education, for instance, supporting local economies. As we look at twins further, such as how grant criteria could support different outcomes, small businesses, digital twins could provide public planning transparency around as they consider investment decisions. Policymakers, twins could support an understanding of the potential impact on proposed policy changes, and that decarbonization piece that I mentioned earlier. In addition to the investment cost reduction, twins could also enable waste reduction through materials and energy optimization. So I guess to close, what I'll mention, a big piece of what we believe in at Infrastructure Ontario is this theme around turning points of conflict into points of cohesion. So we're looking at areas of opportunity to leave things better than we found them. And as I mentioned, with the accelerated high-speed internet being that proof of concept for us around digital twins, these are all things that can help us identify opportunities for things that are broken and make Ontario the best place to build. Thank you all for your time, and look forward to meeting you at the sessions that follow.